Hey guys, what's going on? It's your favorite person caught in the endless cycle of eternal recurrence. Uh, and today I wanted to talk about uh dealing with regret. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, I know a lot of people, it's kind of a cliche for people to say, "Oh, I have no regrets," or like um people that live with regrets are weak or whatever. I've heard that. But let me be honest and say that I think that people that say that are lying to themselves or conflating dealing with regret, coming um to accept regret or accept missed opportunities, whatever it may be, um with not having it, which are two very different things. As for myself, I have dealt with a certain amount of regret all my life, and it was primarily because I I was always caught in the shadow of my or one of my older brothers who I consider to be way more successful than I am. Like, he went to Harvard and, like, he really sacrificed himself. And, like, for the longest time, I regretted not being like he was. I regretted not following the same path that he did, maturing as fast as he did. Um, because I had a lot more trouble. Like, I didn't go to Harvard. I wasn't as smart. I wasn't as driven or ambitious. And not ambitious in the bad way, ambitious in the good way where, like, you have a plan, you know what you want, stuff like that. Not like in terms of greed or anything. And, yeah, I lived primarily with that regret for the longest time, especially, as I was working my way through school and stuff like that. But you know what? Eventually I just realized, like, I can't be him by definition. I'm me. And, like, it made no sense to regret things which are now long, long past. And so, you know, oh, that regret that I had because of him and because of me, and which sometimes turned into jealousy, as I've talked about long ago on this channel, um, turned into deep respect and an understanding that, you know, it's okay for me to have my own path, and I turned out okay in the end. I have a master's degree, and just like him, even though I didn't go to such a prestigious school or whatever, I did graduate without debt, and I even technically am more educated than him because I have a master's degree and he only has a bachelor's degree. Uh, so yeah, that's how I dealt with that regret. Um, And another deep period of regret was when I was during my inkwell days, where um you know I treated women very badly and I had very bad opinions of them and stuff like that. And for the longest time, I was just saddled with the regret of what was I thinking and stuff like that. And, after a lot of self reflection, I was like, um, man, you just made a big mistake. Just, you grew from it. You it's just time to move on, you know what I mean? A lot of that stuff is still with me and it always will be because um let's be honest, a lot of the rejection that I face as a disabled man, I'm not saying a lot of it wasn't my own fault. Of course it was. That's the whole point of being accepting. But a lot of it is less indicative of women as individuals, but indicative of a system which says that someone like me can't be loved and can't find the same forms of love that able bodied people do. And, you know, as well as admitting to myself the mistakes that I made, it also came along with the recognition that um you know we're battling against an ableist system, and i- it wasn't necessarily the fault of individual women. They don't, or men for that matter, they don't, most don't know any better. So it's like, why be mad at them and not the system that causes that? And I've made my peace with that. I still kind of regret the way I treated them. Um, but it's the type of regret that reminds me to be a better person, not the one where that drives me to inaction, to doing nothing to improve myself and wallowing, which I think is very different. So, yeah, I mean, in the end, what can you do to deal with regret? I think the biggest thing is just, you know, give yourself some grace and, you know, be very good about self reflecting, about asking yourselves, what was the cause of this? Was it really me or was it someone else? Or was it something that I could have really helped? Instead of just immediately reacting with the first emotion that comes to mind, which for me as a man, as I'm sure no one will be surprised at, was anger and resentment, which are oftentimes linked with regret. But yeah, that's pretty much how I think, you know, you should try to deal with it. All right, thank you very much. Bye.